Plini. Players Pick Podcast, picks and perspective with Chris Johnson. Pool table. Painkiller.
Yeah, Plini.
Yeah, Chris.
Amazing. NAMM 2020.
Yep.
From the Gator booth, live for the third day in a row. Well, live-ish. This has been pre-recorded.
Is it live?
It's only live right now.
Can I swear?
You can swear. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. I know. Shit, dick, balls.
Yep.
Yep. All the things. You know. So.
And that's the podcast.
That's the and that's it, folks. And we're done. Thank you very much. Drive through. So this episode, I think 36.
Damn.
I think it's 36.
How many have you done at NAMM?
This is the third one.
Yep.
And I got another one later with McRocklin.
Sick.
Yeah. I would love to have just done this and got way more friends that don't normally live here or whatever.
Yeah.
But I got the 4 that I could, and you're one of them. You're actually one of the first guys that was like, "Hey, what's up?
Oh.
Let's do this thing."
Thank you.
I appreciate that. And so you're like we were just talking. You're here for NAMM, and then you're taking off for a little vacation.
Yep.
Gonna do some Joshua Tree.
Yep.
And up to Big Sur.
Yeah.
This is your first time really exploring Cali? In that
Yeah,
way?
because I've probably passed through some of these places, but asleep in a bandwagon.
Right.
So seeing nothing. Yeah, that'll be cool.
Jeez. Yeah, and I mean, Australia's it's got plenty of nature,
yeah.
right? But
Oh, yeah.
But California's got its kind of own unique thing.
Yeah.
And such a contrast here between mountains and water and desert and snow and the whole deal. It's I think it's why everybody wants to be here. And so you'll really enjoy that, especially the Joshua Tree, man. Just climb rocks.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Oh, look, we got some friends here.
Aw, David. Hi, Simon. Hey, friends. Kisses all around.
I just realized that I've been nodding to a lot of things you're saying, and that's not going to come through on the podcast.
That's okay.
But for reference, anytime that I'm not saying anything, I'm probably nodding in agreement.
I've actually been told feedback from a friend of mine said, "Yeah, maybe sometimes you talk too much. You should nod more." I was like, "Okay, try to nod more." So I'm trying to have good podcast etiquette because I'm still new at this, you know.
This is my first podcast ever.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm breaking your podcast cherry.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know it was gonna be so intimate.
It is.
Are you anxious? Are you worried?
I don't know what to expect.
Concerned?
Yeah, I didn't prepare any thoughts.
No, you don't need to. That's the good
I
news.
don't have any. We'll see.
Well, this podcast, my bait is the guitar picks,
Yeah.
right? So I say, hey, like, what's your relationship to guitar picks? Where did it begin? What was your first couple of guitar picks?
Oh, man.
Do you remember?
Probably it was a yellow Dunlop and a green Dunlop.
Oh.
The ones with a turtle on it, which I guess is a Tortex.
Tortex, yeah.
Which I would have bought in like my local guitar store, which is definitely closed down now because that's what happens to guitar stores.
Unfortunately.
And I think it was a 70.73, the green one.
Green is 88.88.
Okay.
And the yellow is 0.73.
Okay, so I had probably one of each of those. Literally one of each, and I would have used them for years. I never could use a Jazz 3 until like 2 years ago, which is weird because like literally every single musician that I know that's good plays a Jazz 3 shape and size pick, and I just couldn't do it. And then a couple of years ago, I was touring with Jakub Żetecki, and he was using one, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do the same because he's really good, so I have to do this. And then since then, I've been using the Max Grit, the black one.
Well, I sent you some Prime Tones. There was a moment you were on Prime Tones, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I forgot about my stint in Prime Tone Town.
Okay. Are you using the small ones now? Or are you using the Jazz 3 XL?
The small ones.
Oh,
yeah.
You're on the actual Jazz 3 size.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow. You graduated down like to the
Like
it's a precision pick, man. I
have to get better to use it.
Kind of you do. Yeah, that's true.
And actually, I've been using the Petrucci ones a bunch. The black, I forgot what it's called.
The NYC Jazz 3.
It's got
Oh,
like
the
a
JP
shiny
Shield,
point.
the Shield one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a kind of a unique pick too.
Yeah.
It's like got this weird. It's a little bit bigger than a Jazz 3, just a tiny bit, and it has that glossy tip. It's kind of a strange one.
Yeah.
But you're using that one in the max grip.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you find that you have more precision like with these? That like when you made the jump to do Jazz 3s, did it change your playing?
I think so, and I don't know if that's something that physically happened or I just mentally felt more comfortable because I was finally using the pick that everyone that I think is good uses. Like, you know how you get a guitar and if you think you look cool playing it, that kind of makes you a better player because you're comfortable?
Yeah.
I think the fact that I could pick up a Jazz 3 and be like, I can use this, just made me like grow into being better at guitar because of it, which is kind of, maybe that's too deep for just what pick is. But that was my journey.
Nothing's too deep for this podcast. We've got infinite depth available. That's what I found too. When I remember I was on the '88 standard Tortex for a millennia. It felt like because of Dimebag.
Right.
I'd seen him. I was like, oh, him. He plays the green ones. I'm good. And I also saw Chuck Schuldiner from Death. Both those guys played just standard picks, and I was like, why would I buy anything else? Those guys are some of the best guitar players. And then working at Mackie and Alvarez and Ampeg, I had a buddy there named Zane Williams that was just like this really cool jazz fusion funk guitarist, and he always played the little red Jazz 3s.
Yeah.
And I was just laughed at him. I'm like, dude, how do you even hold on to that thing? That's like ridiculous. And he's like, here, I'm gonna give you one, and you're gonna like just play this pick all weekend. Like, go. It's Friday. Don't touch the other pick all weekend. And then when you get back, you pick up the other guitar pick and see if you still want to play it. And I was like, and of course it's like a fight a little bit at first. I'm like, it doesn't feel quite right, blah, blah, blah. But by like the end of the second day, I was like, all right, I'm making sense with it. And then I go back to pick the other pick up, and I was just like, no, dude, can't do it.
Yeah.
But so that changed the precision.
Is that what you use now?
I'm into the flow. I use the flow picks.
Yeah.
A lot of these different. I love the 420. This one is, but the one you're using, the one that you see there. These are new ones. This is a flow gloss.
Yeah.
This is a hybrid between you remember the old purple stubbies?
I used to use them as well, actually. I found one, and by found I mean I probably stole it from a guitarist friend.
For sure.
Just for reference, someone ran up to the window and threw horns at us.
Oh yeah.
Rock on. I found one of them and used them for a while, and then I got into the thick picks, and then I digressed from Dunlop and used Red Bear.
Yeah.
But they're just not something you can lose.
No.
Which, I mean, no pick you should lose because I love all my picks, but it's hard to replace a Red Bear.
A $30 or $40 or $50 pick, whatever it is.
And it's always stupid shit, like you leave it on a cabinet and then
somebody comes along, probably doesn't know that that's an expensive pick, and just like
just
disregards it
into a PBR can and just
and tosses it in the trash heap. Yeah, unfortunately.
And I think it was after that I started using the flow. Not the flow, but the Primetone, because I liked the thickness. And then now I'm just in Jazz 3 land.
Cool. Should find a way to make you something interesting for a max grip.
Yeah.
Talk to Jimmy.
There's who has one that I saw recently? Matt from Trivium.
Yeah.
That thing looks fucking sick.
That was one of the last picks I did before I came over to Kiesel. Was I did that one, and Jeff Loomis.
Okay.
But he just did Jeff's is like he's a Tortex Sharp user.
Yeah.
The super pointed one. But we did an Ultex version of that with a grip.
Yeah.
But the Heafy one is cool. It's gold flake.
Yeah.
And it's got his Kitschy Chaos.
Yeah.
Kanjis on it. It's kind of cool. What would if you were to have a special custom max grip Jazz 3, what would it be? Like, would you have?
Probably Crescent Moon. I don't know how that would feel as a grip. I'm sure it would work. Maybe that on one side and something else on the other.
and just have the max grip around it.
Yeah.
Have that kind of embedded in, like.
Actually, yeah, that could work. Maybe the moon could be. How do I explain this? If you just carved a moon out of the grip line thingies that come forward.
Yeah.
So it was just missing.
So it just kind of fell away from the rest of the grip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't know if it would feel good, but it would look good, and that's what matters.
Yeah, I'm sure if there's enough grip on the surface, then you can kind of, the center part of it can be detented or dropped away like that, and you still feel the grip around it. I think that's
Or what if
important.
it was an inset, like something transparent, so there's like a little transparent moon set into the max grip in the middle, and it'd be really cheap and easy to make.
Really, I don't know if it would be cheap and easy to make.
It would be horrible. I remember when I was playing the Prime Tone, I think we talked about how I would never have a signature pick because they're just expensive as fuck to try and make, like the animals as leaders.
But so the interesting thing about that is that as we made the animals as leaders, because that was an original mold that we had to make for them, because we never made a 73 in that shape and all that stuff. But if you were still playing Prime Tone, the Prime Tones are all done now, and a lot of the flow as well, with what they call an insert. So the grip is can be pulled out of the mold, and you can make the pick without the grip if you want. So that's you can do that, or you can make an alternate grip instead of having to remake the whole mold.
Okay.
So the insert doesn't cost as much as the whole mold, thankfully.
Okay.
But that doesn't help you with a max grip. We'll have to have a little meeting with Jimmy Dunlap. I'll introduce you guys.
Awesome.
And we'll have a chat, and see where that can go. If nothing else, maybe a custom color.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to do something other than black.
Like probably a dark navy, like a midnight blue sort of.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
You have any midnight blue picks?
We do. I don't have any here, but there is. We have that color in a max grip. Max grip actually already had. There's already a max.
Oh well, fuck me then.
Not in Jazz 3, but it's like
right.
a regular shape. Because sometimes I think there's blue, gray, and black.
Yep.
And something else, but there's like I'll have to find it. But there's one that's kind of close to what you're describing. We haven't done it in Jazz 3.
There we go.
So that would be interesting. And maybe we can find a way to do a custom mold there. Not gonna promise anything, but I'm gonna go to bat for you.
Sick.
But it's part of this this podcast too. Like after I nerd out with you about guitar picks, I'm curious about like a lot of things, but mostly what do you like? Do you have anything that you subscribe to like kind of keeps you like balanced and with all the touring and all the writing and like constantly needing to be creative for your life's work and whatever?
Walking. Yeah. It kind of sucks at the moment. Like I'm sure you've seen that most of Australia is on fire.
Yeah.
So
oh my god.
I don't live anywhere that's in danger, but just the smoke from the fires has been kind of dangerous air quality level bad for like the last couple of months. So a lot of days I can't go for a long walk, but when it wasn't like that, I would walk like sometimes 20 kilometers, which I guess is like 8 miles or something.
That's plenty. Yeah, that's great.
I just kind of wander and look at things.
Yeah.
And I realize like there's a lot of time in a day if you use it correctly. So I could spend 4 hours like outside and then spend 1 hour sending emails instead of spending like 5 hours half doing work and like half scrolling Instagram or something.
Right.
So finding time to do nothing is probably what keeps me sane.
That actually kind of makes sense. I feel like similarly, I told this to David yesterday, that like speaking to the patience that I hear in his music.
Yeah.
And I hear a similar patient quality that has and a real awareness of spatial relationship. And to hear you say that one of your practices to keep yourself balanced is to find time to do nothing and let yourself have space in that way seems to translate into your music a bit too.
Yeah, and not rushing anything because I think life is relatively long and there's plenty of time to just make good music and hang out with friends. And
Mm.
there's like most things make you feel like you need to rush. Like you need to post a photo every day. You need to make a podcast every day.
Every day.
Which is obviously like, do you do one? You don't do every day.
No.
It's like one a week, maybe.
Well, I try to do like I go in spurts, kind of like
Yeah.
I'll record a bunch of them and then I go back and edit them all
Yeah.
and then release them one a week.
Yeah.
Or like at the end of last year, I just released them all in a batch. I just did like 12 at a time because
Cool.
like I don't want to wait or because
Yeah.
sometimes it's so much work to like babysit the thing, right?
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, like I'm sure you know that if you made one a day, like it would grow as a podcast. But at the same time, if you made one a day, you'd probably go insane.
Yeah, I mean, I would be happy to do one a day if I had a team.
Yeah.
When I have a team.
Yeah.
To help, like, you know, if these gentlemen right here that are so fine and handsome that are here in the Gator booth helping us out today, if they would just like volunteer their time and gear
I think
to
that they are actually.
oh wait, damn it, okay, I guess that's what's happening. Yeah, okay.
But I think I saw like a little unspoken nod that they will continue to work with you for
Oh,
free.
I like this. I'm interested in
Forever.
seeing where this goes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just have them move into my house, set up in my bedroom.
It'll
and-
be part-time because they're also going to work for me on my signature pick for some reason.
correct.
My promised signature pick.
Yeah, the promised one, the one that I'm for sure gonna make happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, likely can make it happen. Why? Okay, I'm just getting distracted. There's pretty people outside.
Alright.
I'm gonna not look up
There
there.
shouldn't be a NAMM.
I know,
That's not how it works.
I know, it's
Especially
not.
if they look like they have energy.
right?
That's not. Yeah.
Like, you're actually alive
Yeah.
and moving. So do you, other than walking and like kind of practicing spatial awareness and this, were you raised with a religion or any type of spirituality?
Nope. I have some very vague religion in my family, but my parents don't practice anything, and I never did, and was never really interested in it. I went through a phase of like reading all the cool atheist books,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of was very in that mindset because it's kind of just fun to think about,
Mm-hmm.
and then kind of chilled out more. Now I don't really care. Yeah, I think I'm pretty based in like bleak science like that, but I kind of find things special anyway.
Mm.
It's like borderline spiritual, but in a not very spiritual way, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like, I mean, like, that's what's kind of interesting about when you let all that stuff fall away and then you still find things special and interesting and,
Yeah.
and precious without a dogmatic or a system around it, right? Because I think
Yeah.
that things are innately precious and just like life and our experiences, once you kind of come in contact with that.
Yeah.
But some people are also find a lot of comfort in in
Totally.
the religion
Yeah.
and in the structure of things.
Yeah.
I was raised in a Christian environment, and for a while I was very like, as I got older, I was like, nah, I'm good, you know. And interestingly enough, like through the practice of yoga and studying multiple different religions, Eastern religions mostly, Hindu
Yeah.
and Buddhist and stuff like that, those concepts kind of really widened me to feel like, oh, I was able to embrace Christianity again, like for what it was, but not be beholden to any of them. Like I find it really interesting, like the study of it, like why do these people believe the thing, you know? And some of the totems and the symbolism, like and then kind of realizing that like it doesn't matter what, in a way, it doesn't matter what you believe in. If you're going to put your energetic quality into like serving or praising or your focus into something, that it becomes a religion. Like, and if it's just you watching TV or whatever, you put your energetic quality into it. So maybe choose to put your energetic quality in something good.
Yeah.
You know, something healthy.
Yeah.
Like walking.
Like music, I guess.
Music, yeah. Yeah, and I think that that's probably a common thing too. Like I think more so than anything, music and what I would consider my version of love or like compassion. Those are my religious qualities, the things.
Because, yeah, I mean, if you're doing music in a way that's like the totally creative side, not the business side, I think it's just like you were saying before about something else. I can't remember what. Oh, about this podcast. It's got infinite room for depth.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of just keep looking for like, what am I doing? Why am I making music? Why am I using this pick? But in a kind of philosophical way, not in a like, I want to play fast, but like, what pick should I use to connect me to the instrument so I can find some sound that resonates with my soul and then record it.
Yeah.
And then sell it and become rich and famous.
Rich and famous and have tons of coke and hookers and the basic stuff.
Sinning. Right? The stuff for sinning.
Sinning. Yeah.
Singredients.
Singredient. Oh, I like that. Singredients. Yeah, I think. Well, it's part like finding the essence of the thing, and then like aligning with it.
Yeah.
It was kind of what I hear a little bit. What you're saying, like finding the is this the one? Being curious. Curious, I think, is an interesting quality that helps open that door, right?
And I think trying to find a way to be curious that is detached from all the other stuff, like you need to look cool and it needs to become popular and it needs to be the right thing for other people to think is cool at that time, sort of thing. Like detaching from all that and being curious about like finding what's cool to you or what's intriguing, and then just like diving as deeply as possible into that is, I think, where it's at for me.
Yeah.
Like we just watched Tim Miller, and
Tim Miller.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's my religion. That guy's my religion.
That makes sense to me.
Fucked.
Yeah. He's mind blowing and carrying on like a kind of a Holdsworthian legacy in a way, like but still doing his thing.
Yeah, just not from Earth type shit.
No, that's the type of curiosity and like wonderment that I think continues to inspire, on and on. But I know plenty of players would probably see or hear Tim and go, it's a certain kind of player that's gonna like yourself and a lot of the like. Tosin and like a lot of other people have like been interested in his element, right? Because what's happening is it's infinite. There's a level of infinite depth available to what he's up to, because you're mixing it all together in a way that like it's almost imperceptible what's happening. You're like, what? I don't know exactly what's happening, but it's like studied so far into the nether realms that it can all kind of congeal.
And that's something that I love about Animals as Leaders as well, because they're doing that, like they're making super contemporary music that's influencing like that whole instrumental scene, but they're also just going to fucking town with like the most bizarre ideas, and like Tosin sort of maybe not invented, but like popularized a style of playing the guitar, which is fucked. No one does that.
Right.
It's like, who else has created a new way of playing guitar recently?
Not like many, if any.
Whoever, like the people that popularized tapping, probably like maybe Stanley Jordan or something.
Yeah, Stanley and like Ed Van Halen and
which would have been 40 years ago, 50.
Long time.
Yeah.
And then you have like people like Dimebag that took the harmonic squeal type quality. Like it's not that it wasn't present, but he developed it in a way that now we hear that type of thing. We're like, we know who did that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about like how rare developing like an approach to playing an instrument comes along. Like maybe it's once every 10 years someone comes across something new. So it's I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
It's okay. I think you're right though. I think it comes in wide intervals because most of what music tends to be is in my estimation, in my kind of like way of seeing it, it's like I go like for me, my own personal experience. I remember being so moved by Pantera that I was like how do I even express the only other than being in the mosh pit at their concert
Yeah.
and running with the guys and pushing each other around. That's one expression of like how it makes me feel. But like to truly like be able to express that, I need to learn how to play guitar and write riffs.
Yeah.
You know, like it's the only thing. It's the closest thing, and I can't because it's not words that can really describe the thing, right?
Yeah.
So oftentimes, so much music for long generations, like something comes out and sets a standard. But like we didn't know what was to come post Meshuggah. Like before Meshuggah showed up,
Yeah.
like
Metal was like Metallica.
yeah, it was Metallica based. Pantera based heavy music.
Yeah.
Primarily, all the Judas Priest or whatever.
Yeah.
But so that's another one we could add in there. We could say Meshuggah came along, changed the game.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
absolutely.
Created its own genre.
And like every album they make is amazing.
Incredible, right?
Yeah.
But so then when somebody comes to set the standard, then it's like copycat season. Not, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's like, okay, now we're in an era of like I remember when Pantera, by the time Far Beyond Driven and Trendkill were kind of like a thing. Just within the 5 years after that, there was so many like newer metal bands that were very much like, oh, yep, they love Dimebag. Oh, they love.
Yeah.
Oh, you pick out the influences, and for better or for worse, Meshuggah drops, and then it's the age of gent, right?
Yeah.
Like, but not immediately because we were still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
No,
it's like, oh, wait, you can do that. And I never realized I could do that. And now I got to figure out how to do it. And then it's new and exciting. So that's all I want to do.
Yeah. And I remember hearing, like, getting my first 7-string Ibanez eons ago. And the only person I'd ever heard play 7-string was Korn.
Yeah.
So the only riffs I could play, to me, kind of sounded like Korn. I was like, oh, man. Then I'm getting rid of that guitar because I was like, I don't want to sound like Korn. And then, like, all these years later, Meshuggah comes along and then it brings in all these other players, and I'm like, oh wait, there's all these different ways to use that same sound.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to get at is to say that we go through seasons of like an innovator shows up and says, oh, you didn't know you could do this on the guitar, and you're like, oh, now we're all just trying to cop a little bit of that vibe.
Yeah.
Can I do that too? Can I do the thing? And while we're busy trying to cop that vibe, the next innovator comes and set the next 7 to 10 years or whatever the interval is.
Yeah.
So it's like, but it takes a while for somebody to kind of get fed up or whatever, or for the populace to get not fed up, but kind of reach a boiling point of like, okay, we've had enough gent, like there's enough, and then there's an era of players like you and David and Jakob and the Polyphia guys, like there's all these different things that I feel like all of you have your own place in kind of showing us, no, guitar can be like this too.
Yeah. I mean, Jakob's huge for me for doing that, because I remember the first time we toured together, we were talking about like, who are your favorite players, blah, 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 like, what's your story? And he was like, oh man, when I was like 12, I had a huge Holdsworth phase. Like, bro, when I was 12, I was like discovering that I had a dick. and he's like just gone to the pinnacle of guitar playing.
At 12.
And absorbing it. And then, and so now he's like, you've probably heard his new stuff. And because it was on your top list.
I love that.
Fucking amazing.
It's so good.
And so he's maybe not mastered guitar, but more or less mastered guitar, and then
feels like it.
Gone. Yeah, like I love EDM production. How do I marry the two things together? So I'm just gonna learn it and do that, and I haven't really heard anyone else. And like Polyphia are doing a similar thing, like bringing in trap sort of influence, and no one had done it.
Not like that. Yeah.
So it's like, oh shit, like I'm not restricted to the palette of gent, and I can still play cool guitar, but I can bring in like this other sound that I found that's intriguing. Yeah.
And I feel like you and David Maxim have brought in a couple of things. Both of you have brought in like a kind of a little bit of a cinematic feel, and like I said before, a level of patience that I hadn't heard in guitar-based music in a long time. Like I remember hearing like Marty Friedman on some of the solo stuff, and like there's been other cool instrumentalists that have done some interesting things along the way. But the way that you guys tend to build themes and let them reoccur in these really unique ways, and the framework, I feel like that's setting a new standard in a lot of ways. And for you especially, using the trem bar the way that you do so expressively, I remember, and I watched this video the other day that you just, I don't know how long ago you did it, but you did a whole video.
World.
Was it Guitar World about,
yeah,
like trem bars aren't just for 80s rockers or something like that? Yeah, I was watching that the other night and I was like, that's actually a really great video to put out, because I feel like they get a bad, like that kind of playing got a bad name, so to speak, from going from the 80s into the 90s and the 2000s.
I guess it's like you with your 7-string being like, oh, I can only sound like Korn, but then now you're like, hang on, I can sound like me with the extra string, or I can sound like jazz with an extra string, or I can do anything. I think it's the same. I mean, same with a pick, same with a trem bar, same with the distortion pedal. It doesn't mean you have to use it the way that, like in one way that you know to use distortion. And I think that's like the fun thing for me, is just finding things that I like the sound of and wondering what I can do to combine them in ways that haven't been done before, or ways that I haven't done before. See what happens.
Yeah. So the way it's interesting for you, when I listen to your playing, I undeniably I have little heart. I feel like little things of like Steve Vai, little things like there's like this, because he's influenced almost everybody that's ever used a bar, right? On some level, whether they said I don't ever want to do that, or how the hell did you do that? But there's this element there. But it's almost like, if I were, in my estimation, I would say if I were to get Jeff Beck and Steve Vai to have a child, I would have Plini.
You would have also made a miracle of science to do that.
Totally. Yeah, but like in the sense that I mean, like it's almost weird because Jeff Beck has been playing these really cool trem bar lines and ways of going about things for 40 years, and he kind of gets overlooked because all the 80s rockers did the other thing, with it. But like you're so much more expressive in it without being outlandish like Vi.
Yeah.
It's not like although you have a couple of the things that feel like the hint towards that.
Yeah.
But then you kind of keep it in this nice expressive, like fitting for the song type of thing. It's not just acrobatics just to do the thing. If that seems close.
Yeah, I will absolutely take all of that analysis.
Did you listen to much Jeff Beck, or have you?
Not really.
No?
I think it must have filtered through the people that I like that listen to a lot of Jeff Beck.
Or maybe Holdsworth is more because he is a trem bar guy too, right?
Yeah.
Because he's got the little kind of microtone things happening. So maybe you're more on that one.
Yeah. I don't know. I listen to music when I'm at home. I listen to probably 10 hours of music a day, or something like that. I just wake up, put headphones on, and then do life with music. So I don't even have heard everything. I haven't heard everything, but I've listened to a lot of music, and I don't know where any of it comes from anymore.
That's probably actually a really good thing, though.
Yeah. I know a lot of people when they're writing music, or maybe not a lot of people. Maybe I heard one person say this. That they don't listen to anything else because they don't want to be influenced by that. But I'm the opposite. Like at the moment I'm writing music, and whenever I get stuck, I'll go for a walk and listen to everything I can find that I like, and then be like, cool, I can borrow that technique, like songwriting technique, or that tone would work, or that instrument would work, or that chord progression might solve my arrangement problem, or something like that. Because if I get like 100 ideas from 100 different places, I think that's more inspiring than trying to lock myself in a room and like tell myself I have to figure it out on my own.
Like David.
Yeah.
Is
he one of those guys?
Yeah, he's like, I go, what are you listening to lately? And he's like, nothing. I'm still writing.
That's true. Yeah.
Still writing. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which I could see it too, because I can really hear what he's going for with that, because his stuff is so unique,
Yeah.
and he's very personal with every little bit, and he was telling stories here yesterday about a cousin of his passing away, and like how that's turned into a song, and how there's this kind of all these different things, there's dynamics that kind of play into how he writes and what he writes, and energetically. Whereas it seems like you just keep it wide and diverse.
Yeah.
And so that there's always like kind of things to pull from, and
yeah, I have a hard time knowing where songs come from in terms of like a story or a feeling or a memory or anything like that. I almost never am able to translate like, oh, this happened, so I'm going to express it in music. I just start doing it and then try and figure out why. So like, I came up with a sad chord progression for some reason, and then I think, what's happened lately that's made me sad? Maybe nothing. Maybe I watched a sad movie and then had a thought about interpreting sadness or something like that. But I have a really hard time figuring out, like, this song's about my parents, like, this song's about a tree. I have no idea. It's just probably bits of everything.
So it's more congealed, it's more together, and like unified thing. That's cool. That's probably more my style, more my vibe, because I get inspired by everything.
Yeah.
Like I heard the washer making a weird like rhythm the other day, and I sampled it. I'm like, I want to make a hip hop beat of this. It's like, I'm just like messing around with that, trying to line up the beats and trying to whatever, like life has its own strange rhythm.
Yeah.
And listening to a wide variety of music. And it's weird for me, also just because I used to listen to a lot of metal, a lot of shred, and I still like those things, but I look at my Spotify for like the last year, and I'm like, I just listen to like hip hop and like neo soul and like, and I realize that for me it's like it's a more comfortable, like fun and uplifting thing, because I'm looking for music to enhance and like raise the vibration, and like have like, which I think most people are looking for that, but like as I was younger, there was I was more angry maybe, and more like attuned with like, I want to be assertive in my life and get stuff done. You got to go out and do it. So Pantera is going to help me get that done, or be angry enough to tell somebody how I feel, And like the older I get, I'm like, I'm not that angry about the things, and like I do more yoga, and I'm not worried about it, like.
Still love Meshuggah, though.
Still love. Oh, one of the few bands that I'll get in the pit for still. Like, I will. Yeah, I remember they played Sacramento a couple years ago, and I hadn't seen them in a bit. And when Future Breed Machine came on, I was like, I lost my shit. I was like, I was just like, and everybody's like, what is wrong? I'm like, dude, this is who I was when I was younger. Like, I was crowd surfing Chris, trying to mosh everybody into the ground, because I just had this, like, when you feel like between Pantera and Meshuggah type, when the thing locks in and there's a pocket groove, it's like, I don't even know, I can't be responsible for what happens next. So play Meshuggah, responsibly around me. That's all I'm saying. I might put my head through a wall. Like, everybody's like, wait, you're yoga Chris. And I'm like, I'm also Meshuggah Pantera Chris too. I'm also Plini Chris. I like, everything. But these days I'm way more chill. Like, I actually, I don't know. I just, and then I go through bigger phases of less music, like too now, like, because I enjoy quiet. Where I used to never let it be quiet. But you're good on like going like all day pretty much with.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a good thing. And it's actually kind of frustrating sometimes if I'm like 2 hours deep into a walk and I can't think what to listen to. But then I take my headphones out and realize that like the world sounds pretty cool too.
Yeah, I have to remember that too. I also started doing the podcast and the audiobook thing too. know if you're into that, Rich.
Tiny bit. I just started dabbling in Joe Rogan, which is like
Yeah.
the baby end of the pool for podcasts. It's so good.
But you could just listen to Joe Rogan podcast
And get a bit of everything.
and get a bit of everything. That's like, I mean, I know it's almost cliche to like bring up Joe Rogan on a podcast and talking about podcast, but I'm so enamored with what he's done because he's kind of created. He's a Renaissance man of sorts. Like I thought for the longest time I was like, oh, he's just a fighting guy that did the Fear Factor thing. He's a meathead.
Right.
He got nothing interesting to say. I didn't listen to the podcast for many years, and it was only about probably 4 or 5 years ago that somebody was like, hey, sent me a podcast with somebody. I think it was Graham Hancock.
Right.
Great author about ancient civilizations. And I'd read a bunch of his books, and he's like, hey, one of your favorite authors is on Rogan. You should check it out. And that kind of hooked me. I was like, oh, wait, he's talking to good people.
Yeah.
Like, I really got to go and, like, see what this is about.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I can't get enough. I'm like, every time it comes, I'm like, oh, I don't even know who this person is.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, like, they're some professional about something, like, that you just didn't know, and all of a sudden I'm hooked. I'm like, they're telling me more about like this guy, I think it was Ash or somebody, like just walked the entire length of the Yangtze River.
Whoa.
In China.
That's long.
Yeah, it's like 4,000 some odd miles, and the first like 1,000 miles is like wilderness, and he was just like sleeping in a tent with no weapons and lots of wolves and bears.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And like he's telling the story, and I'm just like, oh my god, like. Yeah, and then there was like Robert Downey Jr. was on there.
Yeah.
Killer.
Yeah.
You know, it's like amazing interview.
And the shit like the dude walking down the entire length of the ridiculously long river, that I find that stuff really inspiring because it's like if someone can do that and dedicate the time to do that, I should really not settle for an average song. Because I mean, making music's so comfortable compared to walking the length of a river. Like, I will re-record that solo so the vibrato's better. Because, like, people make time to do extraordinary things, so I should try a little bit harder.
That's a good way of seeing it because I hadn't thought about it in that way. That's a good way to bring it into this world, right? Because I had a buddy of mine that just walked the entire United States.
Whoa!
Like from Brooklyn Bridge to the Sundial Bridge in Redding, California, where he's from, which is Northern California. His name's Jeremy Schultz. Shout out to Jeremy Schultz. Beats from the core. He's a drum teacher. Yeah. And he actually aligned with Justin Wren, which is a fighter that's a friend of Joe Rogan's, and like Justin Wren does. He does a couple things. He has a thing called Fight for the Forgotten, which is about like the anti-bullying, and they also build wells in Africa for the pygmies. Yeah. And so he did that whole walk for the United States for Fight for the Forgotten and raised a bunch of money for that, and like he's one of those guys that's inspiring me, man. Like I'm like, wow, like if you can walk 3,000 some odd miles, like I can definitely get up at 6 a.m. and go work out and like, you know, in my cush life, you know, I can go to yoga and I can, you know, be active and not like sleep in and like just waste. Not that sleeping in is all bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not anti-sleeping in, but my body mostly, I've trained it now to just get up, just go, just do the thing. There'll be time to sleep later, you know. Yeah.
I love that about I watch heaps of chef shows and things like that, like little interviews and documentaries with chefs, because I think they're similar to musicians because they have to do so much boring bullshit to get to like the main bit, like just peel a million carrots and then you get to make like carrot soup. I don't know, it's a terrible example, but like I think it's the same process with music, is you just have to be patient and sit through listening to yourself suck for hours and hours and hours, because then you get to be better at the end of it.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't make it through that, you know, or get discouraged too prematurely about it. And I recognize that is like more than anything that might be the greatest recipe is the patience.
I like what you did.
You know.
You like that?
because it's a youthful thing to want it now.
Yeah.
You know, very few people come out of the womb or out of the youth being patient.
Yeah.
You know, like most of us are like, if I can't get it within the first couple tries, next I'll do something else.
And I feel like that's a more so a now thing, because I remember when I was younger, and I'm sure it was even better when you were younger. Not that I think that you're old, but like people learnt to skate, which is hard as fuck. Like I tried, I can't ollie for shit. But that's probably because I wasn't doing it when I was like 7. But there's like a whole generation of people who would just go to a skate park for like hours and through that can skate. Whereas now it's like you just get a game on your phone and you want to be good at it within 1 minute, and that's like what a hobby is.
Yeah, it's still a now thing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's part of bred into our phones. Everything is immediate.
Yeah.
You know, and the devices, and so that's why that's the medicine for the times is to cultivate patience and to have a physical hobby, physical practice. If you can, like for me, like again, I always return to yoga, and because I for a while there I was a little greedy and wanted more out of my practice.
Yeah.
And my body said no, and then you either get injured or like it just starts to shut down, and you can't just push it. You have there's certain things that you just have to wait and let go and see what happens. And
which I guess is the same as a band that puts out an album every year. Like it's not sustainable to try to be that productive. Well, maybe it is, but like Devin Townsend can put out an album.
There are a few people, yeah.
But yeah, I guess if you want like the gratification of having created music, you would probably go crazy, or just the quality of the music would suffer compared to being patient. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You're saying good words, my friend. I like it. Well, I will say this, that having a practice, I think, outside of your music, especially for those people that are struggling with creativity or their ability in music, I think it's good to have to have a regimen, like a regular, like a loose regimen, if nothing else, where you're consistent in your practice. Like at least you're doing a little bit every day or a little bit every other day or something, so that you're regular. But also to have something in your life that it kind of has to have patience. Like it could be a Tai Chi, it could be yoga, it could be weightlifting, it could be anything else. You can't push it up the hill too fast, too hard, too fast. So that always is kind of baking in an element of patience. I had to learn. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
You know.
What was I gonna say? Oh, the first Joe Rogan thing I listened to was because it was David Lee Roth. And he was talking about how he went and learned, I think it was traditional Japanese calligraphy or something like that.
Wow.
And his teacher was, I'm like probably fucking up the entire retelling of the story, but I guess was like
podcast.
you can only do like this line or this brushstroke or something for a month or something like that. Something that was very restrictive. And I always assumed David Lee Roth would be someone who was very about instant gratification because he's a fucking rock star and he could have anything he wants. But the fact that he's going and like learning really slow skills where you can't be good straight away, especially if your teacher doesn't let you even like imagine having a guitar teacher who says you can only use frets 0 to 5 for the first year.
Oh, right.
So I guess like I found that really cool, like just slowing down and finding the time to get good at something in a slow way, I guess. And
reducing the options.
Yeah.
I have to say, I really like that too.
Yeah.
Even though I have a fractal and I'm starting to learn how to enjoy it, it does give me option anxiety and a little bit of paralysis at times. Where if I only was given 5 colors instead of 32, different things, I would actually be better. I'm usually better off, and oftentimes people that do tend to rush or not be able to make good choices quickly, the fewer choices, the better.
Yeah.
Right. So you're like, hey, is it this, or that?
Yeah.
You know, and then you're able to make a choice and get moving into the thing. And with sound equipment, I've found that like if I can just turn a couple of knobs,
Yeah.
and then get back to writing, get to the objective instead of I'll get lost in the fractal, and I'm like, is that even the right block? What am I doing? I pushed the wrong, you know, and I just get frustrated with the thing because all I want to do is play guitar, really, you know. So, but there are ways around it, you know, and I think that's kind of a one of the things that can be helpful in that way. Speaking of the music though that you were talking about, you listen to a lot of music. Has there been anything that has jumped out like in the last year or two that you've like had to kind of like listen to a little more and kind of like felt infected by?
I just got into this album. I think her name's Emily Nicholas or Emily Nichols. What is it? Emily Nicholas, and it's kind of like dark pop sort of thing.
Okay.
But really good production. Songwriting is really cool. Like a lot of the songs are only 2 minutes or something like that, so they don't build in a typical pop song structure. And I listened to that like 5 times on the plane here.
Cool.
Because that's like kind of changed my opinion on what can be a song. Because I guess I came from like Dream Theater worship, so to me a good instrumental prog song is 15 minutes and like covers all the territory in the world. And for ages when I was planning an album or an EP or something, I would kind of have written down the goal like, all right, I got to put it in like a 10-minute epic, something like that's what's gonna make this good. But then listening to something like that, and I can't remember what else, but there are a few things that I've heard. A lot of the like electronic people like Tennyson, who just make music that doesn't flow in a sort of rigid way, like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, something like that. And having like the experience of listening to music like that being as enjoyable as listening to a conventional structure or a 20-minute song is like, oh, maybe I can find a way to write my sort of music where 2 minutes is enough to be something that feels like right. Another person's Madison Cunningham.
Madison Cunningham.
Yeah, she's a singer-songwriter from, I think, LA.
Okay.
Ridiculously good guitarist, like singing and playing guitar and just fucking insanely good. I think you'd like it.
It shreds up a little bit, or what?
Yeah, but like Secret Shred.
Okay. Yeah.
Really good songwriter, like really good vocals.
Cool.
Yeah.
If she's around, then I'll try to catch her live then somewhere.
Yeah,
maybe.
she was. I think she played at like the Echoplex. I don't know. Is that a thing? No, that's a pedal. What's the place in Echo Park?
It might be called that. I'm not
I
sure.
don't know. It is a pedal though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is Echoplex.
Yeah.
I think you've played through an Echoplex at the Dunlop booth a couple years ago. Yeah, the delay pedal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. Finding people who are doing things with songwriting that I haven't heard before, that I might be able to incorporate, like a shorter song or a non-traditional song structure. So, like Jakob did that a lot with his last thing, where it kind of reminds me more of like abstract painting than a conventional, like, I'm gonna paint something that I saw. It's kind of like, I feel like putting this here and putting this here, and I feel like putting this here. I feel like he kind of does that with music.
Yeah. Yeah, really impressed with that last record. In the record, is like an EP before that or something that's also similar in vibe, but this one he kind of like actualized it a little bit more. Where it's, like you said, kind of like an EDM vibe underneath, and the way the production value is, some like kind of down tempo qualities, but then like there's just excellent guitar throughout the record. You're like, in a couple of the songs, you're just like, wait, is this real? They could actually be playing this on guitar? Like that's my mind is like trying to figure out how, you know, I want to see it live, but
oh man. You need to, and his band is so good.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's got a bass player and drummer, both Polish, Bass player plays a lot of synth bass as well. The drummer's like, I think he's jazz background, but he plays in that super just like calm, like kick, snare, hi-hat sort of style. Just nails it. They're so good.
Cool. Where is Jakob from?
Poland. I'm not sure which city.
Poland, yeah.
It's actually from a really small village. Originally, I think he lives in Krakow now.
Okay.
When the last show we did in London with Periphery, it was like this huge, like 2,500 cap theater. We walked in when it was empty and like sat on the balcony, and he was like, "Man, everyone in my village would fit in here.
Whoa.
Like, it'd be so crazy to just if my whole village was at the show. It's like everyone that I ever knew growing up would fit in a venue that I'm playing on one night of a tour."
Damn.
Yeah.
What an interesting contrast for him.
Yeah.
I love those type of stories. I love it when,
Yeah.
I mean, that's my favorite kind of story is like when somebody comes from something either big and goes to something small or something small and goes to something big and they find this big contrast in their life and it's like something they never really maybe even fully saw for themselves.
Yeah.
And then they just show up one day and they're like, wow, this is one of those moments.
Yeah.
Hmm. And where in Australia, whereabouts?
I'm from Sydney.
You're in Sydney.
Yeah.
Okay. And Sydney's been okay other than the air.
Yeah. I mean, parts of Sydney, I guess like the greater area of Sydney are on fire, like national parks and that sort of thing. But the city is okay.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's California knows about
Oh, yeah.
burning, man. Like we had the same thing multiple years in a row, just where even if you weren't in danger of the fire, you're in danger of the smoke.
Yeah.
That whole thing. Well, I really hope that is most of it contained now, or are they still fighting it?
I think it's not really contained at all. Like
Really?
some bits are getting better and others are catching fire and some fires are merging together.
Oh
Yeah.
man, my heart goes out to that whole, especially the animals. I mean, I
Yeah,
know
that's fucked.
the vegetation, a lot of it will grow back, but the
Yeah.
animals, it's just like
Yeah, I think over 1 billion animals have died. And like, yeah, because Australia's got so much weird, amazing wildlife that isn't anywhere else,
yeah.
and I think is really important to take care of, especially because I feel like a lot of stuff that would have helped the fires not happen in the first place didn't happen because people put more time and energy into like mining industry and like that side of things. Whereas I feel like Australia should be a place that kind of just could totally live off being a tourist destination because we got so much cool shit to take care of. I don't know where I'm going with this. It's a lot of dead animals and it's sad.
Yeah, it's super sad.
And on that
note, we've got to go. Time is almost up. Any final words or any concerns or shout outs?
Shout out you.
Aw.
Shout out fucking everything. I don't know. NAMM 2020.
All right, NAMM 2020, the world, and me. Because it's all about me, goddamn it. No. I appreciate you being a guest, dude. It's been great, like working with you through the years and fun to ramble on about some interesting things. And thank you for doing your first podcast with me.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's only downhill from here.
So now, anywhere you go, you just be like, I already did the players pick, so I mean,
I kind of
I don't know.
Who else has a pod? Are there any other music podcasts? Actually,
there's
I
tons.
lied.
There's tons.
I did Jude Gold's.
Oh, you did. No guitar
Guitar
is safe.
And that was great because he's awesome.
I think we have to scrap this one, guys.
Yeah.
Like he lied to
Well,
us.
apparently, isn't the second time meant to be better in some things in life?
Yes. Okay, so it's cool. I like Jude, so
yeah.
I need to go find that guy and actually hang out with him.
We should do a podcast together.
Yeah.
Have you?
I haven't done anything with him yet, but he invited me a while back to come hang, and I was like, I want him have him on my podcast, and
we both ask each other questions, and neither of you answer them.
Ooh, it's kind of like a strange, like avant-garde, like. So, how are you today? So how are you?
Yeah.
It's like get really confrontational.
Yeah.
It could be fun. get views. You can get views.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, well, I appreciate it, man, and I hope you have a good rest of your NAMM, and don't catch the anthrax if you can handle it.
I'm doing well this year. Yeah, last year I was in bed dying by like Friday.
Yeah, I've skipped it last couple of years, mostly because I didn't drink really much,
Yeah.
and do a lot more elbow and fist bumping.
Yeah.
You know, washing the hands.
I left my hand sanitizer at home today.
Yeah, I got some for you if you want
I
some.
would love some.
Yeah, come on over to the booth.
See.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.